Now, moving on to identities. These are the identities that we have seen before in AICE 1, and some of these we might have seen on the formula sheet as well, so just make sure that you're aware of all these formulas and the possible rearrangements of them. We certainly talked about the top two in the previous lesson, and also you should know the reciprocal functions as well, so those ones should be familiar. Perhaps number 5 is the one that you'll be least familiar with, so make sure you have a note of that. Now, when it comes to proving identities, there's no real hard and fast rules for this, so these are the things that I try and work with to try and help me solve a problem. So I always start with the equation on the left and make sure I work to the equation on the right. You're not allowed to work the other way around. Now, we'll talk about a way we can get around that later, but for right now, let's start with the left and work to the right. If you're not sure, try and write everything in terms of sine and cosine. Then hopefully we can do some simplifying. If you are adding or subtracting fractions, make sure you have a common denominator first, so you can actually combine them into a single term. And third thing you should always check to do, check those identities that we just talked about. Is there one of these things that we can actually use? So if we have sine over cosine, perhaps we can write it as tan. Or if we have 1 plus tan squared, perhaps we can write it as secant squared. So keep a check on that formula, and also the ones on your formula sheet to see if there's anything useful we can do to help that. Now, I got a list of different ones up here from an exercise, and I actually got the part of the first solution here, so whoops. Let's see if I can reveal that. There we go. Should be able to reveal it now. That's it. So, cosine cotangent theta equals 1 over sine theta minus sine theta. So I'm going to start with this, and I'm going to work to this. I don't want to start with this and try and get to this, because that's not the proof that's being asked. However, if you do want to start with this, and you were to write your answer, you could always write up the page, and then by the time you finished, you would end up with this. Anyone who's looking at your answer would have no idea that you've actually worked the question backwards. So you can do that, but ideally start with the left-hand side and try and finish with the right. So, first of all, try and write in terms of sine and cosine. So cotangent theta is cosine over sine, because it's the reciprocal of tan. See if there's any simplifying we can do here as well. So cosine times cosine is obviously cosine squared. And the problem we have is our answer has 2 terms where we just have 1 term. So we're looking some way to try and split this up into 2 separate terms. So cosine squared we can write as 1 minus sine squared. And then now we can actually split this fraction up into 2. We can say this over this minus this over this. And then actually now we do have 2 terms. Now if we simplify this, sine squared over sine theta, we're just going to get sine theta. And I believe that's what it actually asked us to show. Let's just check. Perfect. So there is a little bit of guesswork involved when you're doing these questions. You can never be 100% sure that you're actually going to get to the answer. You just have to try different things, and ideally, hopefully one of those 3 steps that I said will actually get you to where you're looking for. Now, some questions are easier than others. So if we look at this one, tan theta, we can write straight away as sine theta over cosine theta. And then the cosine thetas would cancel, and actually it's just a 1-step problem. Same for secant theta. Secant is the reciprocal of cosine. And once again, the cosines would cancel. And cosecant theta is the reciprocal of sine. And that would cancel too, leaving us with just 1. So some questions are certainly easier than others, and you can't always tell by looking at a question which is going to be the easy question and which one is going to be the difficult question. So with this, you just have to make sure that you practice as many different questions as you can. I probably did some additional examples in class, so if you are absent, you might want to try and get those from friends. But that should enable you to at least start this exercise.